Hey guys and gals, it's Mike White. So I've got a list of customer images that I'm going to try to clean up for my friend Samantha. And I'm just going to go through these. It's so much variety. I'm going to talk about each one and what can be done to get it prepared for a DTF transfer. What's the best thing to do to make it ready for print. So if you like to clean up images, if you like to learn things about Photoshop, if you think these designs are cute, and you want to watch me ramble about them for the next 30 minutes to an hour, you're in the right video. Let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make sure that we have some organization. So we're going to come down. I'm just working in my downloads folder, which I keep completely clean so that I can delete things out of here. And I'm just making a folder, and I'm just going to download these images into that folder. So let's just take all these images. They're all in Google Drive right now. And we'll just download them. And what it's going to do is zip them, and then I'll have to extract them. Okay, so it downloaded the zip file, and I'm just going to do extract all. And there they are. And I'm just going to select them all and cut them out of there and go into that folder I made and paste them. And then clean up these other things. So now I've just got the one folder. I know where everything is. Now I'm going to rename them. So the first thing I want to do is change to where I can see icons. I'm going to do extra large icons. It's going to make me easier to name them, you know. And I'm just going to go through and rename each one of these. I'm going to call this one Stir Up Stuff. It's important to, I usually will put OG just to remind myself that's the original one that I got, like original. So we're going to call this Eeyore. I don't know how to spell Eeyore. And Pooh. Alright, OG. And just roll with it. Let's rename that one. So I'm going to go and rename all of these. Okay, so I've gone through and given every image a name. And I'm just going to go in order alphabetically because, you know, some of these are really hard. It'll be hard to make decisions about what to do to prepare them as a DTF transfer. This first one's one of the hardest ones. So why not dive into that first? All right, so let's look at this item in Photoshop. So we're going to be using Adobe Photoshop. Here we go. I'm going to close all my other files. And then I'm going to go and look at this image and determine its quality. So the first thing we're going to do is hit Control 1 to look at it. I call that pixel to pixel. And I can see some what I'll call low quality JPEG artifacts. I can see them with my naked eye at this size. But I'm going to zoom in so you can see them really clearly. Like those are JPEG artifacts, so that's a problem. That's all going to print just like that, you know. So to compress this a little bit and try to clean up some of those artifacts, I'm going to just take this image size and I'm going to focus in on some of the worst places, and I'm going to resample it. So I'm going to change this to pixels. And I'm just going to go down. This is a little counterintuitive, but I'm going to go down about 800. I'm just going to go, no, not down. I'm going to go down 224 pixels, down to 800. So now I've got just a little bit smoother version because I don't want to upscale bad quality, you know. So by compressing it a little bit, it's actually smoothed some of those areas out. Like you can see, they're still there, but they're fainter. And there's just that little bit of touch. Got rid of some of the worst problems with this image, okay? So now I'm going to export this as ping. So I'm going to export it into my folder. And I'm not going to call it OG. I'm going to call it shrunk. Yep, shrunk. I usually like to say something about what I've done to the file to change it from the OG, and I just keep each version. All right, so let's go look here. I'm going to find my downloads folder. There it is. And I'm going to click on my shrunk and hit open. And here it is in upscale. So this is upscale, completely free software. If you're on Windows or Linux, it's totally free. It has a small fee if you are on a Mac. And I'm going to take it out pretty big. So it's going from 800 to 5600. So it's a 7 times upscale. All right, let's do that. And that'll take a second. And let's just look at the result. Oh, it's pretty. It's cleaned up a lot of the mess. It's made the cow hair very soft. It's created some new problems that might be challenges for us, but we'll deal with those. Everything looks good to me. We'll go look at our results. So it just puts it back in the same folder, and there it is. And now we'll open this up with Photoshop and we'll take a look. So now if we hit Control 1, you can see what we've got. Much cleaner text. We've got a lot more pixels. We've got enough pixels now. 4,500 pixels wide is typically what I'm aiming for. Might not be able to get quite that much out of this. But to make this a transfer that's ready for a t-shirt, let's do that. So let's increase our canvas size. We're just going to add, say 600 pixels all the way around this. So I've got it checked on relative, and I'm just going to give myself some extra room here. And then we're going to see if we can't fix this missing part of the pill bottle. So let's actually give ourselves a little more room. Let's do another 600 all the way around. And we're going to try to use Photoshop's generative fill, so I'm just going to select just this part that I want to generate fill for. I just want it to fix that part. And then I'm going to do window, and I'll grab my contextual taskbar. So I'm using the latest Photoshop, and we're just going to see what it does if I just use the regular generative fill with Firefly. We'll just see if we can fill that in. And it didn't seem to do anything there. So I'm not sure what happened. Let's look and see if we can see more. Yeah, it just literally did not know what to do. So I'm just going to delete that layer. Didn't do any harm. I'm going to reselect the part that I want to work on. And this time I'm going to tell it what I want it to do. So finish the pill bottle. And we'll just wait for it. And it has let me down again. I'm totally unhappy with the result. So we're going to try to draw it in. Sometimes that's your only option. So let's just take we'll just make a curve here. I'm just going to grab my pen tool, and I'm just going to curve right around this bad boy, and we'll just try to finish that shape out. And thankfully it's not a real complex shape or anything like that. We'll just, we're doing this rough and fast. Yeah, we'll just select that area, and then we can tweak that shape a little bit. So let's just click on this, get that right. Make sure this is a nice smooth curve. That's the biggest thing. I'm just imagining what the other side of that bottle looks like. Okay. And then we will select that work path. And that'll just, constrain whatever we do into that path, okay? And now I'm just going to take the clone stamp tool. And we want it to be pretty big. So let's just make it nice and big. And let's see if we can't pull from this area and push it into that area. So we'll just take this. Oh, Alt. I needed to click Alt and define where I was coming from. Oh, and I don't want it to be fuzzy. I actually want this to be pretty hard. Yeah, we'll just push this up and draw that in. Oops. Looks like I need to reverse my selection. So I'm going to hit Control Z on that. I'm going to hit Control Shift N to make a new layer, because that makes sense. And then I'm going to hit Control Shift I to invert my selection so it's just over the part that I want. So let's just paint, and then we'll paint again. and not super happy with the results. Let's change our hardness back down to 0 and just kind of do a little blending here. So let's just blend that in. We'll take that. We'll just kind of blend. And then we'll take this and we'll just kind of blend that in. So it just doesn't look too crazy. And I just realized that my shape's wrong. You know, after I saw the shape, I'm like, wow, that's not right. So let's start over. So let's imagine how this pill bottle would look. We can keep our layer. We'll deselect. Let's work back on our path. So let's go back to that work path. Yeah, that's going to keep rounding, isn't it? So really, this needs to be like in here to look more right. That's going to kind of round out and continue like this. Let's just see if that looks more natural to us. All right, so let's select our path again, and then Control-Shift-I to invert. And then we'll just take this clone stamp again, and we'll make it hard. And we'll pull from here, and we'll push out there. Pop that in, pop that in, and then we'll do a little blending and just make our hardness softer. And just blend out the part that I see that I don't like. And then I'm just going to do a little more of that blending right in here to not have such a hard line. Boom. Okay, it's not perfect. It still looks like it needs to round some more. There's a possibility I can just do that with the eraser tool and just eyeball it. Let's make this larger, and we'll just kind of see if that helps. Yep, that helped my eye. So I think we're happy with that. It's good enough. You know, it's a t-shirt. It's not the Mona Lisa. Okay, let's deal with the text. So I'm going to go ahead and start selecting the text. We're going to grab our magic wand and keep contiguous checked. And we're just going to select all of the black. So I've got my tolerance set to 80. And I'm clicking in a couple different places just to kind of smooth out. So each letter I'm just kind of clicking more than once. But let's grab all of these. All right. And that's got that selected. Let's Control-C, Control-Shift-V. So now I'm actually going to merge this bottle down. There's no reason to keep it separated. And I'm going to turn this into a layer. I'm going to say layer from background and hit OK. And then I'm going to duplicate that layer so I have my original. And then I'm going to turn this one into a smart object and just hide it. That way I can't lose anything. As long as it's a smart object, it stays, it stays the way it should. It doesn't change. And now I need to select the cows. So, this is going to be a little tougher. Let's just do our selection. And getting this selection refined around these cows is definitely going to be a challenge. Some of this might have to be drawn by hand. Let's try a little bit of magnetic lasso work. I'm pretty happy with that part. I'm going to try magnetic lasso along this edge. So we're going to hold Alt to subtract from our selection and just try following this edge right here of this pill bottle. And I'm just going to wrap it around, and then hopefully I've got a good selection there that looks pretty close. And I'm going to do the same thing down here, though it's going to be a little tougher. So I'm going to hold Alt, and I'm just going to try to follow this edge and see if it can find that edge. And stop here, and then follow that. So I just clicked once there, and then that's enough to deal with at a time. So let's just, I shouldn't have hit Alt. I should have hit plus. So we'll just do that again. Shift, And we're taking away from the selection some before. Now we're adding to the selection, and I just made a mistake. So no big deal. Control Z is our friend. So that's nice. It's kind of refining things there. And I think I'm just going to try those same techniques in here. This is really muddy. And so it might be a problem. But it might not. Looks like it's working so far. So I'm just going to try to select this whole part here. I know now I need to follow this cow. And I'm just trying to stay like within the lines, We'll just kind of make up some little detail there. That's what I'm doing along that edge. That's all the same color there, so there's nothing for the tool to grab. So we're just kind of drawing. And then I'm just going to keep doing that because that's actually, you never know how things are going to work out. This technique seems to be working pretty great with this. And I'm just going to follow some of those little details of those hairs and just keep some detail. I'm actually kind of putting detail back in, some little definition points. That's why I'm clicking so much. And I'm just trying to make this look natural, even though it might not. Follow that guy and come around. Awesome, that worked great. Now we'll do the inside. Some people don't like my tutorials because they say I make everything look so hard. It is hard, and so you've got to be patient with yourself and realize that what you're doing is difficult, and there's very few people in the world that can really do it well. And just be patient when you're learning something like this. It's a very valuable skill, I think, in the modern world. To be able to fix up artwork and prepare it for printing. And this is some of the hardest type of artwork to work on. So, just give yourself some benefit of the doubt. So I'm coming along in here and trying to clean some of this up. Yep. And I'm going to go for a twofer here and try to get right all the way to this hoof. And just come all the way around this. And this, I need to really dig some of this out because that's just going to look terrible. It's going to look like it's got white. All right. Okay, well, I've shown you enough of that, and I'm going to keep making these selections and see what I can refine here. Okay, so it's been about 20 minutes, and I've gone through and selected all the little parts, and I'm also going to come up here and I'm going to select this because that was part of my original selection. So I'm actually selecting the outside, right? Now I'm going to hit Control-Shift-I and hit Control-C and copy, and then I'm going to hit Control-Shift-V and turn this layer off, and we now have our little antidepressants right here. And to test my work, I'm going to put a solid color. So I want to put solid black and actually see how this will look on a black image. And I mean, guys, it's not perfect. You can see the glowy areas around the outside here. I could do better, but it would take more time. I mean, that's been about an hour's worth of work at this point on this image. And so, one thing I see up here in the antidepressants part, see that how that's got that glowy outline up here? So we can see that with the black. It's hard to see unless you put the black behind. What we'll do with that is we will do blending options, and then we'll choose color overlay, and we'll choose black. And here's the thing. If I was doing this myself, if I was doing this for myself, I would know what color shirt I was going to put this against. As, an artist that's just working, not knowing, I have the challenge of not knowing what color shirt you're putting this on. So I'm just doing it to the best of my ability to work for any color shirt. But if I knew this was going on black, well then I would obviously make that the text white. One thing you could do to kind of prepare for if they wanted to put it on black is you could put a stroke around it. So actually I might do that. Let's see how that looks. So we could, I know I just took away the white part, but putting a little intentional stroke is way different, So I made the part solid black, and then I can just put this white stroke, and I think that's going to be great for no matter what. Okay, let's finalize this image. So I'm just going to do image, trim, transparent pixels, and hit OK. And I'm actually going to take this antidepressants text. No, I'm happy with it. Okay, I was about to say we can center that because I can tell it's not centered, but it is centered over the main body of the image. So actually, I think that this is probably centered quite well. So let's just let it be. And let's check our final image size. So we ended up at 5462. So we're going to change this resolution to 300. And then I'm going to set this width to 4500. So that's going to give Samantha a lot of room to work with to print this 15 inches wide. I'm going to hit OK. And I'm going to do File, Export, Quick Export as PNG. And I'm going to rename this one Antidepressants. I'm going to say Mike RTP. That lets me know that I completed this one and it's ready to print. All right, so let's do the next one. Okay, let's analyze this next one. Wow, this one has some extreme challenges. The first thing we want to do is crop in on this. So we want to get over here and get some of this white out that we see. So let's just take that white and just come just inside enough. Crop that white off because that'll be confusing to anything else we try to do. So we'll crop this side too. Let's get that white out. And I'm just hitting enter to confirm that crop. I'm just using my crop tool and scooting it a little bit. So you all can see right away the biggest challenge here. So this, artwork part down here is not finished, So to cut this out, really difficult to chop this out and make it a t-shirt design in case, we don't want to have a big square on our shirt, But we're going to try Generative Expand. I know it failed us before to do anything with AI, but that's the nature of working with AI. And we'll just take it out to here and see what happens. Generative Expand. Oh my gosh, it just performed beautifully. This is a phenomenal result, actually, for Generative Expand. I'm really proud of it. It worked well this time, and that's great. Okay, now let's do our assessment of the quality. So let's look at the image. So yeah, we see lots of messy details. Probably things that the upscaler would just fix anyway, but I'm going to give it just a touch. We're going to go in to 2000. I'm going to set the resolution to 300, not that it matters. But, 2000 pixels is going to smooth out some of the problems that I see. And then we're going to go ahead and we'll crop in. So let's crop in with just the design. We can lose some of that little outer stuff if we need to. We've got the details that are important. So we'll just crop into there. And then I'm going to export it. So let's export this. And we'll call this Be Kind Expanded. All right. That was real magic, what we just saw Photoshop do. It couldn't do that 2 years ago. All right, and we're just going to upscale it. Let's look at where, we don't want to go that big. That'd be insane. So, something like this is probably good, 6800. I've got a really nice computer. So I can do things like this. This might be a little too much for some machines. But this program is pretty amazing. So we get ourselves all upscaled. Yeah, I like it. It looks good. Now we'll find that upscaled image and open that with Photoshop. Now, this is going to be a heavy image no matter what, but it would be way heavier if we left it as a square, and it just wouldn't look good. It would look like a big square on the image. So we're going to try to get rid of that, and we are going to use our magic wand again. And this is going to be a little more of a challenge than anything we did in the other one. Merely because we're going to want to get a lot of this broken up stuff. So like that initial selection is really not bad, but it's definitely gotten into some parts of the image that we don't want to. So I actually don't mind the way that it's gotten in out here, but I really mind about some of this. It has to be deselected. So I think that's great. It's going to make it feel softer all around in there. So let's just first get the big parts. So I just grabbed my lasso tool. I'm holding Alt just when I start. I don't have to keep it held. And I'm just going to get the big obvious parts where it's just dug way into this image. And then I'm going to go in and kind of get some more detail. This is the problem area. Right in here. Like, we don't want any of that selected. We can see this shape of this leaf here. I'll try to get that little tip and everything. So we know we don't want any of that. I'll keep this big section right here. And I don't see much for my lasso to grab. That's the hard part of some of this. So what we can do is we can just kind of bumpy. I call that bumpy. That's what I just did. I'm just drawing in a shape that I like and just letting that be the edge. So I'm just going to do the same thing here. Just draw in this shape and let it be the edge. I'm going to draw this in. I think my lasso might be able to help me on this part, my magnetic lasso, so let's try that. Let's try just letting this follow. Yeah, it doesn't like it. I didn't think it would, but I thought I'd try. That helped a little bit. Let's just draw this in. So we'll just draw down around this edge. And I'll just follow that contour and make it the contour. Okay. All right, so we're going to keep up this work here. The more I look at that, I think it's going to be okay. Let's make sure we're not losing this little part right here. And let's lose that part right there. And right here, let's keep this. We're just looking for the big things that are going to be obvious that there's a problem there. Okay, here we can certainly use the lasso, I think. Just stand to the outside and letting it do its magic. Alright. That worked pretty well. And I think it'd be nice to connect some of this so that there seems... So I'm going to actually select that. Okay. We just want to look like things are intentional. That's the biggest thing we're doing here, is making it intentional. So we'll just keep all of that. I'll dig some of this out. You know, you're just taking control of it, making it your own artwork is what you're doing at this point. And just taking responsibility for the artwork. That's what you're doing. So I'm just going to select all of that, keep that part. And you know, I don't know how this is going to look until I actually pop it off. But I'm going to do something, and then we'll have made a decision, and we'll be able to see how she looks. So, all right, this is easy right here. Get rid of that. Oh, my phone keeps ringing. They will not leave me alone. I'm a popular guy today. All right, so I'm just going to come along here. We'll keep all that. We'll let that just kind of do what it's doing. And then we'll follow some of these contours and keep these parts of this leaf. And we'll do the same thing right here. We'll just keep that part. And we're just going to go all the way around and keep fixing up little stuff that we see. This is the difference between a professional background removal and an automatic background removal. Nothing makes me cringe more than the words automatic background removal. Alright. And the reason for that is you just have no control. You know, you have no control when you do an automatic background removal. You're just at the mercy of the program that's doing it. And they're usually not great programs. Alright, so we're just digging in sometimes and digging it out others. So here we can just make this smooth. So just make that a nice pleasing shape. And like here, you know, we'll get rid of that. And then we might add to some of this. And we'll smooth that off so it looks natural. And here, you know, we'll just take away some of that. Just keep following our edge around. Here's a little problem area. That might suit well to the magnetic. Nope. Yeah, it just doesn't like those fuzzy spots. So we'll just come in here and we'll just do it. So we're just going to draw that. And we're going to come around and I'm just going to, you know, I get a little tired after a second, so I'm just going to give myself a stopping point there is what I did. Let's try the magnetic lasso on this back side. Yep, that sort of worked. Got some of it. And then we'll just dive in with our real lasso right on in here. Okay. One of the reasons I like to make videos like this is so people know, you know, if you don't know how to do this, you might think it's easy, you know, and it's helpful, especially when you're dealing with a customer, to show them what you have to do to get their artwork ready, because otherwise they might not understand or, you know, pressure you like, hey, why don't you got this done? Well, it's hard. That's why it's not done. It's because it's hours of work, and you know, that's important to express. You know, rather than, you know, get frustrated with somebody. It's like, you know, just show them what you have to do. You know, that's a great approach, I think. I kind of learned that from my dad. So anyway, I'm gonna keep going around. Lots of little places to make a decision through here. You know, just kind of come around that outside, get into the easy, let it flow, and then drop it. And you know, it is just a decision-making process. That's what you're doing. You decide to come here. You decide to come around like that. You decide to make this shape. And then follow it through. I've got my mouse speed turned way down. I'm using a mouse for this. I don't use a tablet. A lot of people that do this type of work would use a tablet, and that's probably the best way, is to just draw it on a tablet. But I don't have that luxury, so I just use a mouse, and I've used a mouse for 20 years, and I've never had a problem. So that's how I get it done. All right, so I'm just going to choose to keep a lot of this. We'll grab all this while we're at it. And I'm going to pause and just finish the rest of the selection because this has got to be getting boring. Okay, and after quite a bit, we get a moment where we get to just look at what we've done, and we'll just find out. So I'm going to hit Control-Shift-I. While I'm thinking about it, I'm going to go ahead and convert this to a smart object and turn it off, and then hit Control-Shift-V. And my goodness, I forgot to hit Control-C. There's my cows back. Isn't that crazy? All right, let's Control-C and then turn this off, and then Control-V. All right, so now we get to find out how well we did. Let's hit our solid color. We'll make it black and pull it down behind it. And that's what we got. And you know, this is one of those worst kind of images to do this to, but I'm not totally mad at it. I don't think it's awful. You know, it's going to be broke up here. I mean, that's what the image wanted to look like. And it's just going to overall, I think, be pretty fine. So, you know, and this is where, you know, if you're doing your own work, obviously you make some decisions. I mean, I think if this was mine, I'd just ditch the glitter and then put the glitter back around the outside. But I wouldn't make that decision for somebody else, you know. So let's finish it up. We're going to image trim, transparent, and then we're going to export it. And we're going to export, let's change the size, actually, image size. We're going to go to, I'll set it to 300 here. And I'm going to set this to 4,500 because that's my standard. I have a 16 by 20 heat press, so I never make anything wider than 15 or taller than 19. All right, and I'm just going to file, export, and I'm going to call this Be Kind Mike RTP. Save. Awesome. All right, let's do our next one. All right, let's look at this one. This one's cute. Just a little bit of problem with, you know, it not being fully drawn. So let's see what we can do with that. We don't need much. Let's see what it can do. Sometimes it works magic. It didn't like it. It had a problem. Let's find out why. Okay, well, I tried again. And it didn't really work. It kind of worked with his foot over here, but it really mangled the tail. So I think we better just draw in the tail. So what I'll do is I will erase this part over here. So we'll just erase this. I'm going to rasterize this layer. And I think apply the mask. And we'll just erase what it did down here, but the other part it did over here seems okay. And we'll just try to draw this in. So we are just going to visualize the other side of the sky, and we'll do his tail. Let's do a new layer. We'll grab that black of his tail, and we'll just kind of throw it in here and just finish it off like that. And then we will paint the rest of that in. And hopefully nobody will notice that we're just doing a little fixing over here in the corner. I feel like I'm coloring. I feel like I just went back in time and I'm 5 years old again. All right, and then let's just see what this side of this bow might look like. Nope, we'll just go a little thinner. Sketch it in. So we're just going to try to go. make it happen. And don't really love that, but I just kind of learned from it. So I'll just kind of go like this. And we'll finish this little stroke here. And we'll finish a little stroke here. And then we're going to thicken this around this side. Probably would be easier for me to do this with the image a little bit bigger, you know. But it's not the Mona Lisa. That's what my friend would tell me. I've got a really good friend in this business named Dennis, and he's always told me, it is not the Mona Lisa, Mike. I don't know why you're spending so much time thinking about it. And I really appreciate that advice. I need to remind myself of that regularly. So I just selected that area. I'm going to just expand my selection a little bit. We'll expand it by 2 pixels. And then we're just going to paint. So we'll paint in some of this pink. And let it be. Whoa. I don't like how that worked. I thought I was drawing underneath. Let's see. Oh, I'm drawing on top. Okay, that's my problem. Yeah, hang on. Let me just stay in the lines this time. All right. You know, we could do our healing brush. Perfect. Let it be. At least it doesn't call out, you know, that it's a problem. And, all right, so let's export this. So we're going to export this, and we're going to call it EORMPOO expanded, and save that. Oh, let's look at our quality. We know our quality is pretty rough. I saw some stuff in there. Yeah, I think we would do to take this down to 800 and let it be. Let's export that. I'm going to call it expanded still because we expanded it a bit, but we also shrunk it. So, and let's just select that image. We're going to open that up. So Upscale is doing the real work, you know. I mean, I'm doing okay, but Upscale is really doing the work. So we can just upscale that. Oh, look, there's more problems right here. Hang on. Hang on. I didn't even see that part. I'm going to draw this part in. Okay, let's try that again. I drew that just a little bit of thing in there so it didn't look so bad. And we'll take this up to about 4,800. Let's go a little more. Let's see how she does. Upscaling. Looks great. Fixed it up. Wonderful. This is going to be so easy to take the background off this one. I can't wait to do it. Open this with Photoshop. Pop it. Hit it here. I'm holding Shift. Control Shift I. Control X. Control Shift V. Turn that off. And then I'm going to stroke the outside. So we'll do blending options. And we'll just put a stroke. And we're going to make it black, pure black. And then I'll just thicken up those outer lines. You know, that's always a good look for artwork like this. And then we'll trimmer. And then we'll do image size. And I'm going to do 300 and 4,500. Because I can always go down. Everything's fine with going down. And then we'll export that. And it's going to be perfect. And I'm going to say Mike RTP. So that one was pretty easy. Okay, here's the next one. So with this one, you know, it's kind of already designed to be cut off. I'm not going to worry too much about filling in all of the parts. You know, it's just kind of like this artwork. It's not going to look as bad as some of those other things where it was like, oh my gosh, it's all so clearly. It's like this we can take this white off so it doesn't feel horrible. But the challenge with this, and it's probably hard for you all to see, is it's super bad quality. I mean, it is way worse than the other ones we worked on. and that is, I mean, this is a challenge, you know. We definitely have to reduce it, and we're going to reduce it a lot to get anything close to clear. And really, to me, pushing the boundaries of what's possible with this one. So going down to 600 certainly clears it up, but that is so small. That's 2 inches. That is that's really small. So you know, that this one's not going to be. I'll be doing my best with this one. You know, and if this was your artwork, I would just probably skip this and just say, it's so cute. It might be painful to walk away from it, but if you can't find the artwork to buy it from somebody, this one I'd probably just let go. Of course, we're gonna. You might be super proud of what we can do with it. I mean, it's incredible what we can do. I mean, upscale is magical. So there's that. That's what we've done. So let's see what we got here. Here's my upscaled one. I'm going to take the canvas size out about 500 all the way around so we can really see better what we're working with. This is probably the most heinous part right here. Let's just drag out a marquee, an elliptical marquee around this. And, you know, you just kind of put your cursor over and on the edges to try to hold the shape. And I'm holding shift so that it selects. And really select transform selection. Let's do that. So I'm going to try to like get this to actually be the right shape here. Yep, that's all right. I'm just nudging it with my arrow keys. And then we'll just do a little clone stamping right up here at the top. And then we'll do a little paintbrush. We'll do a little paintbrush. We'll paint a little bit of whites. I hit Control-Shift-I to invert the selection. We'll just paint white to smooth that off. All right. I can accept that. I hate these parts. I would, you know, again, my artwork, if I'm making the decision, I might trace around this to cut that off, and it would just seem more natural. Let's just do that. Because I hate to reveal the box, you know. So how can we avoid revealing the box? Let me show you. Let's just take this, and we'll just follow. I'm just using the pen tool here. And we'll just follow some of the contours in this and make a decision here. All right, so we're just making a decision. And we'll just follow that contour, follow that contour, come around here, go right up here. So I'm just drawing in the shape I want to keep. And then we'll just curve right around this. Come here. Come there. And I don't know if this is going to work on the other side, you know. But we're just making a decision here. And then we'll come off of it out into this white area. And then we'll just come down here. Oh. Hey, why not pull this off at the same time? And we'll keep some of this and connect right back in here. And yeah, could I do a better job of this? Absolutely. Every step that I'm showing you guys, you could spend however long you want to do on that part, you know? I'll encourage you to just kind of go loose and fast and get her done. I think you'll be a happier person overall. But that's what I would do is, you know, I can fight this for hours, or I can just let it be, let it go. And that's what I'm going to do. So let's just connect that there. And we will just paint whites inside this selection. So I'm going to go to my path and select it. And then I'm just going to grab my paintbrush and make it pretty big and make it white and just paint all this out. Oops, Control-Shift-I, same problem I had before. Yeah, now it's got an ending place, you know. And then, you know, here's my problem. I don't know how to do that over here, you know. And that's what you run into. I mean, you know, now I want to finish that flower and that little strand there. So at least we fixed it on that side. Let's see how we could fix it over here if we can. Hang on. I'm going to pause because I'm going to try a few different things. Yahoy! All right, well, that fixed it. So I did a little generative expand, or it was just a little fill-in with Firefly, and I mean, I think I'm pretty happy with that. I'm going to touch it up a little bit. We'll come up above it, and we'll switch to our paintbrush tool, and we'll just paint a little bit of white in here. I think I saw some other spots I wasn't real proud of. Yeah, we'll just kind of paint this in a little bit. So we'll just, you know, finish that off so it's not so obvious that there's a problem there. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with how that worked out. So, okay, so now it's time to try to take the background off this thing, and that is also going to be a bit of a challenge. So, you know, kind of look at it first and try to determine where to attack it. You know, we're just going to use our magic wand, but we just want to kind of get an idea of where we see there's going to be problems. Like, it's going to try to get inside these things, and I don't think we want that. So we're just going to come in, make our selection, and then start refining it. So, you know, here, how do we deal with these little problems? So, you know, these fronds of hair. I mean, we're just going to make a decision. See how we did that? Just kind of go with it. Go in the direction of the hair. Here, you know, we don't want this to dig in so much, so I just kind of go with the curve. So we'll do the same thing here. So we'll just kind of come into it like that and make it look like it's drawn in, and we'll just kind of do the same thing here. You know, so we're making our decisions, what to keep. You know, here we can just go this direction. See that? Just kind of keep that part. This, you know, just make it smooth, and it'll look intentional. All right, and we can keep all that. We're looking for leaks. We're looking for parts we want to keep that are going to make it prettier. You know, here, let's just keep all of this. So we'll just follow the shape that we want to keep. That's probably how we're going to deal with all of those. Lots of odd problems around in here. So not odd, just kind of normal actually. You know, we can follow some of these contours, just follow these shapes and make things look more natural where it's cutting off. You know, I'll keep this. We'll keep this little free-floating blob. You know, this, you know, you just don't want it to seem that dug in. So we'll just get that, like that. Oops, wrong thing. Shift is what I wanted instead of Alt. I do that all the time. Oh, it's still happening. I have no idea what's happening. There we go. You know, just make sure you got pretty shapes and you'll be fine. So, hope I'm giving enough advice about how to make these decisions. It's just a constant decision process when you're dealing with this stuff. We just want that hair to look nice and have the color where we want it to. Let's see if our magnetic lasso can help us. So where can we start this? Let's try to start in here. We go around this. Now we have to completely follow the contour of what we want to keep. And you can just click to force it sometimes. Oh, and see, then it does something like that, and it's broken, And, I do a lot of my stuff just freehand because of that. It just seems less frustrating. So we'll just kind of go around here. We'll follow this up. Alright, that's got that one. Let's just draw this in. And we'll keep it right into that stem. Here, let's draw this one in. Watercolors, always a challenge. Because it's got so many light and white parts of the actual image that you're supposed to keep, but your automatic tools think that that's part of what needs to go away. So, we're kind of doing our automated background removal with the magic wand. And then we're just refining our selection with our own, drawing skills. So, all right. And this kind of work is actually incredibly therapeutic. I have to do this for a living, so it's a little bit less fun. But I certainly love this type of work. That's how... I've been doing this stuff 25 years. So I started working with Photoshop in 1997. And I've always been the guy that somebody called when they had an image they needed to save, that they didn't have the original. I'm your guy. So you're learning from somebody that knows what they're doing, at least. So I've just been going to town all over it. And I'm going to start trying a little magnetic work. This might work. So just follow it around. See, I'm just staying just outside and letting it snap over to the leaf. It helps if you hold your breath, I think. I'll just come in here, keep going. Oh, and now I need to finish it. I need to find my original spot where I started. Boom. And then we'll try again right here. Now it's just refusing to do it, so I'll just hit escape. Let's see if we can follow this. Nope, we're just going to draw it. Come on now. Let's just pull this in. We'll go around this. Come in. Go around that. Come in. Come right around here. And then just finish it off while you're... so you can breathe again. Grab this. We'll do the same thing here. We'll do the same thing right here. Come on. Alright. Kind of got that. With these, just finish them off. Nobody's going to look too close. It's okay if you make a little mistake. You want to keep little things, you just keep them. You want to draw around little weird blobs, you just do it. Nobody's stopping you. Alright, so here, we definitely want to try to keep this circle shape. So So we'll just let it be a little jaggy around the edge, but we'll just eliminate all this digging out in the middle by just staying just inside the lines. Alright. We're getting close on this one. I made lots of decisions down here along this edge. You know, it's just better to smooth things off. You know, just let it be, even though I got into the white in there. That's okay, it's watercolor. So you just kind of make decisions and make shapes smooth. You know, you could decide to remove stuff. I know you've seen me mostly keep stuff, but sometimes you just decide to take it away. I'll keep those shapes. I'll just smooth them off and make them look natural and connect them a little bit. And we're almost done here. Just going to keep going on that. I'll finish off over here. Alright, you see I got more to do. I'll just keep going. Okay, it's the moment of truth. So when you make a lot of decisions like this, you know, you're always nervous. I'm going to merge all this down and then Control-Shift-I and Control-C and Control-Shift-V. And this is the moment where we find out if we did good or not. And we'll make a black, put it behind it. Oh, we did great. I think it's fine. You know I did it, so I said we, but I think it's fine. It's actually been saved. It could be better, but we'll leave it. And we will just trim it. And we will size it. Let's do 4,500. I'm going to make this 300. Make this 4,500. And we will export this bad boy and move on. And that's Mike RTP. All right, well, this has been, you know, I'm not sure how long this has been. It's been about 2.5 to 3 hours since I started working on these. And I've gotten, you know, a number of them done. So there's quite a few here to do. It looks like we got the, let's just find, there's an RTP. Here's the Doing My Best, Be Kind, Antidepressants. I think that's all we did, isn't it? Yeah, I got 3 of them done, or 4 of them done, so about 30 minutes apiece. But as you can see, you know, there's quite a few more to do. So hopefully this helps somebody out there that needs to know how to do this type of work. Appreciate y'all watching my video, especially if you made it to the end of something long like this. But again, you know, thanks and have fun cleaning up some artwork. Take care.